Awesome. Thank you.
So,
Looks good.
how do you say your name again? I just want to make sure I'm not, I'm not butchering your name.
No problem. My name is Seshni.
Okay, good. All right. Hi, Seshni. Thank you for joining this Pay4Me Cross-Border podcast series. Super excited to have you here and, to learn from your wealth of experience. And yeah.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining from Cape Town, South Africa.
How's Cape Town today? How's the weather?
We had a week of storms blazing through the Western Cape and Cape Town over the last week. Roofs flying off, flooding. We've had it all in the last week, so we're deep in the heart of winter, clearly. But it did clear up today. It's still icy cold though.
That's pretty interesting because in the US right now, it's summer and the temperatures are really like in the very high, we have the very high temperatures now. So that's, pretty interesting to
Yeah.
have that real interesting contrast weather-wise.
Absolutely. Yeah, the hemispheres will always hit you differently.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do a quick introduction about you, and then you can take it from there, and tell us more about yourself, what you do, and how you do it. So, for the listeners or watchers, we have here with us today Seshni Mala. She is a sales manager at Prodigy Finance and based out of South Africa. She leads a highly motivated and passionate team that help customers through the Prodigy loan application journey. And she is super compassionate and excited to, use customer-centric approach to help international students and really anybody looking to, use Prodigy services. So thank you for joining us today, Seshni, and please give a more elaborate introduction about yourself and help us know, who you are, what you do, and all that stuff.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. So, like you said, my name is Seshni. I reside in Cape Town, South Africa. I grew up in a small town in South Africa called Port Elizabeth. Well, I called it that growing up. It's changed names now. But yes, and then I moved to Cape Town at the end of 2015. It was really nice. It had always been my dream to live in Cape Town. Growing up in a very small town, all you want is to get to this mother city. I only ever came here on holidays, so it was great. My opportunity had come when I could move over. I've been in education for many years. I've been in sales for many years. So it all came together when I moved over to Prodigy, where I had a mix of education and sales. And so both my passions kind of collided, where now I'm leading a team where we engage with customers every day, support the Prodigy customer, make sure they're having world-class customer experience with us, along with other teams who also provide world-class customer service. And yeah, we're passionate about supporting the customer through their journey. We know it's a daunting experience. We know that you're moving continents to study abroad. It's a huge step. And so we want to make it as seamless as possible. And so I think that's what speaks to me, is just that opportunity and ability to hold the hand of a young individual looking to prosper and improve their life is really beautiful to me. I studied marketing. I've been in all industries, so marketing, advertising, sales, campaign management. I was fortunate enough to do my postgraduate at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business. So that's the closest I've come to the level of academia our students undergo. I've yet to complete my master's, hopefully soon. But yes, that's pretty much me.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, by the way. So are you originally from South Africa?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I am.
Okay. So that's pretty amazing. I think you're maybe the second South African that I've been offered to talk to, chat with. directly. I think my first opportunity, kind of like meeting somebody from South Africa, was while I was working as a full-time volunteer in Sierra Leone. And I had this very good friend of mine. I think he's from Cape Town or Durban. And that was about 10 years ago, and we still keep track with it. A very amazing guy, Manzini. So super excited to have you. So, just to, by way of introduction to myself, I'm Paul. I love to post this to kind of like help international students that are, in the process of studying abroad or currently studying abroad to basically understand, how to better navigate areas of studying abroad, including visa, funding, relocation challenges, etc. I'm the CEO and founder of Pay4Me app, a cross-border payment tuition and school fees platform helping international students and immigrants around the world with, getting tuition and fees paid on time. So through that, I want to segue. Can you tell us a little bit about Prodigy?
Sure. So Prodigy was founded in 2007. It started with our CEO, Cameron Stevens, who was also faced with the challenge of finding funding as a master's student. And so him and a few of his friends made it their mission to make educational funding available to other master's students. And so Prodigy has supported more than 40,000 students over the years. We're very proud of the mark we're leaving and the impact we're making in the lives of these students who wouldn't otherwise have had the opportunity to study abroad or leave their village, wherever they're from, leave their hometown. And so we're very passionate about breaking down the barriers, the financial barriers that many have when wanting to embark on studies at the world's top schools. And at Prodigy, we're always expanding, we're always looking to build new partnerships, always opening up new markets for customers. And so I'm very excited to be talking to you because this is a brand new market for us as well, that we're now expanding even more. And so yeah, I'm really excited to share a bit more about Prodigy.
Sweet. Thank you, Seshni. And I just wanted to mention that Pay4Me is a Prodigy partner. We've loved working with you guys. It's been an amazing experience, kind of like, helping a lot of international students through you guys with, accessing funding and financing to pursue their education abroad. And I feel with the CEO, right? In 2014, when I came to the US as an international student, I almost got kicked out of school because my tuition payment from Nigeria was delayed, right? And if I had gotten kicked out of school, it would have meant I would have lost my admission, I would have had to go back home, lose my visa, etc. If an opportunity like Prodigy was available then, it would have made it a lot easier for me, to just say, hey, can you guys help me out here, while I try to figure things out. So super excited that, you guys are building the solution and are bringing these opportunities to international students around the world. So to dive in a little bit further, we've talked about how Prodigy helped, international students with financing their education abroad. But in the past, right, people are always confused about how to go about this process. What does it really mean? What are, the expectations, right? And do you have any unique insights or strategies into, what makes students successful in, the whole study abroad journey process, and also in accessing kind of like the opportunities, that Prodigy offers?
Sure, happy to share, Paul. I'll take a small step back and just share a little context on Prodigy and our model. The uniqueness of Prodigy is that we don't assess students based on their current financial profile only, but their future earning potential. And I want to share that because it's so important. We're very different to the way in which a bank operates. And so if there were ever any misconceptions that Prodigy Finance is like a bank, we're absolutely not. We source our funds from an array of investors, a community of investors that share our passion, believe in our mission, and also want to provide equal access to education for masters and postgraduate students at the world's top schools. And so that's just a little bit about the differentiation. But in terms of strategies and ways in which students go about starting their studies, it's daunting, right? It's a scary process to kickstart. But a lot of our students spend time online. And I think, much like the rest of us, when you're unsure about anything, when you need help, when you need information, when things are going wrong and you just really don't know what to do, you're always going to hit online. And so our students would spend times in forums, go onto university websites to understand what webinars those universities are having so that they can start connecting and figuring out what is the university I want to be attending or affiliated with. Some students choose universities for their diversity, for the impact they're making in the world. There's different reasons why you may want to be affiliated with a university, and so that's what students do, is try and connect with these schools and attend their webinars and speak to their student advisors. Another thing that students, or strategies they would go about, is speaking to people who have been in their shoes. And that's such a huge part of the experience, is I need to talk to someone who has done what I've done, because I will feel most reassurance from them. And Prodigy has a unique website feature where customers can go onto our website on the homepage, and there is no cost to it, but they can speak to a mentor who has been in their shoes, and they can ask questions, not about the Prodigy product, that's what our teams are here for, but about what life and studies abroad have been like. What is it like getting to the States and never having been there before? What is it like stepping into Harvard and knowing the esteem of the school? And so students would go through that research process. And I think that would be the best place to start, is researching, speaking to people who have been in your shoes. And of course, Prodigy has a large team of customer support specialists who customers are constantly reaching out to. Potential students are emailing, calling, chatting, and they can speak to anyone on our team who will be able to guide them through the process and just give them the advice and answer those initial questions they may have before and during their journey with Prodigy.
That's amazing. I like that you mentioned, kind of like those resources that are available to international students, kind of like then, tapping into the forums, the resources that you have, but more importantly, that Prodigy takes kind of like a customer-centric approach, into providing these services. And I can testify to that, personally, is that oftentimes I'll see emails come through from Prodigy saying, hey, your student XYZ's, they are stuck at this process, right? Can you reach out to them to help, support them? Or even sometimes when some of our customers or the people who are coming through us, they get stuck, we're able to reach out to the Prodigy team and say, student A, student B is struggling here, how can we help them? And I love that approach about how you guys are helping, students become successful. So, yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
No, you're welcome. I think that's amazing. So from your experience, as a former student, right? And also as a current or future student, right? What are some of the, the tips that you feel like helped you to become successful in college, or after college? What are some of those, tips that kind of like, we can even narrow this down to like kind of like financial tips, right? That helped you with, planning and going to college and preparing, etc. If you want to give us some insight around those.
Sure. So, I haven't necessarily been in the shoes of the Prodigy customer, where you're wanting to do your master's abroad, and the cost of master studies at top ranked schools require you to find funding, and you absolutely need providers like a Prodigy Finance to support you through your journey. You may have saved a little bit of savings and you do need a loan to to provide for the rest of that tuition or the cost of attending a top-ranked school. But some tips that I have when I was going to study abroad is really to exhaust your options, is to consider all the options out there and do enough research that gives you access to seeing what each provider can give you, what scholarships are available, what lenders are available. At Prodigy, for example, we're quite transparent. So we'd provide customers, and I know I'm leaning into that away from the tips, but I'll bring it all back together, is we provide customers with something called an annual percentage rate, for example, and that represents the total cost of borrowing. And wow, do I wish somebody provided me with what a rate that represents the total cost of borrowing when looking at different funding options for any form of studies that you're about to embark on. And so the financial tips I would share with my knowledge of Prodigy and how we go about supporting students is really to ask for the cost, understanding the costs at various lenders, understanding the hidden costs. What are you not seeing? And this is where the annual percentage rate is so important. And so considering your options is a huge part. When I was studying, for example, on campus at the UCT Graduate School of Business, I did it in my later years, so it was just a few years ago. And I'd love to go back there to do my master's at some point. I'd love to study at UCT again. I had a beautiful experience there. And the best part about it was connecting and networking with like-minded professionals. And I think that's something that students who go abroad would also do, is engaging with the community of people who share your ideals, who share your passion, who also want to leave a mark, who also want to make an impact, whether it's in leadership or science or engineering or business, who have ventures that they want to embark on. And so you gain a lot of inspiration and personal growth from just connecting with these individuals. So that was something that played a big part in my growth as on a human level, just connecting with these individuals.
Awesome. I love that you had mentioned, those necessary things, like look at what is the total cost? How much is it going to cost you? If you're going to grad school, you want to look at, hey, it costs, $100K, $1,000, rands, whatever the currency. This is how much it's going to cost me to go through my educational career. What are those funding sources available to me? Scholarships, grants, student loans, right? When you come to the student loans, you need to consider what are all the other providers offering you. Prodigy offers you XYZ. They have an upfront API cost. And I think I would love to, talk more a little bit about, APIs, right? Because it's an interesting subject when people think about study abroad loans, and then they think they're going to end up having to pay for the rest of their lives, or they're going to have to, it's just like this life-changing experience. It is a life-changing experience, right? But a lot of students are surprised when, they come to the point of saying, here's how much you're borrowing, here's how much you need to pay at the end of the day. So I'm just curious, right? Aside from students being surprised about having concerns about APRs, which is the annual percentage rates, right? That's what APRs.
Yes.
I know we use APY. Sometimes you switch between APY and APR. I know in the US APY is annual percentage rate. Anyways, that's the point. Is students are surprised about interest rates, right? From your experience, what are some of those concerns or surprises that students can anticipate when they're talking about getting a student loan or trying to find financing for higher education?
Sure. Thanks for that question, Paul, because cost is such a subject that sometimes no one wants to talk about, and sometimes we really should be talking about it more. And I'm really happy to unpack the cost factor when it comes to student loans, especially at Prodigy Finance. First of all, we always share the annual percentage rate with every customer who has a successful application. So if a customer or a student is eligible, and there are 3 eligibility criteria. You must be studying your master's or postgrad abroad at a course and school we support. We're obviously always supporting more and more schools over time, but it's got to be one we support right now that a student would apply for. And then they must come from a country we support. There are various legal and jurisdictory regulations that we must adhere to as well. And so supported countries is also a big deal. But let's say you're a student, you're eligible, you submit an application with Prodigy, you are successful. We're going to be as transparent as possible by providing you with the full breakdown of your offer, including your interest rate, your APR, your repayment terms, and the repayment cost. And the reason I'm breaking this down is because it becomes such a misconception, and I really want to clarify that from the get-go, is that even though a customer is seeing a repayment term of 15 years, actually at Prodigy, one can repay their loan in a shorter amount of time, at any amount each time, and that flexibility is left to the student, and there are no penalties for doing so. A customer is not penalized for repaying their loan sooner. We want our customers to have this flexibility. That's number 1. Number 2 is we have customers who talk about repayment and are really worried because they're like, how will I repay my loan while I'm on school? I don't have a job. I don't have an internship. What will I do? If you're a full-time student at Prodigy, we want our students to focus on their studies, work hard, take in the experience, enjoy it all, and embrace it all. And so our customers are only really required to repay their loan 6 months after their classes end. But like I said, if a student does want to repay their loan sooner, by all means, many of our students get assistantships, internships on campus, and they want to put a little of money into their loan and repay it sooner. And that's totally all good. And so it's important when students are comparing offers, which we absolutely encourage, is not to look at just the interest rate. An interest rate from lenders can exclude things like forex charges, insurance cost, and processing fees. But an annual percentage rate will allow a student to compare apples with apples. And so they should ask other lenders for their annual percentage rate and compare this to really get an idea of the total cost of borrowing, because that is what this rate is giving them.
And I love that you kind of like emphasize the idea around making sure the cost, because you have those costs upfront, right? Because there are a lot of things that goes on the underground that people don't necessarily understand. For instance, right, when you talk about if I'm coming from Nigeria or Ghana and I want to go study abroad in the US, not only am I having to come up with the funds I need to pay for my tuition and fees, but I need to worry about exchange rates. I need to worry about money movement. I need to worry about policies and all that stuff. So I hope to see a day where Prodigy is available to more and more countries and also more and more institutions around the world. I know you guys are always adding new countries and new schools, and that's quite exciting.
Totally agree, Paul. You and me both.
So the story of impact, right? I think one of the most important things that come up to me when I see students who would have missed out on the opportunities to study abroad, but a company like Prodigy comes to their aid and provides them with the funding needed to succeed. I think that's highly impactful, right? Because when students are able to gain more education, they're able to get better jobs, they're able to improve themselves, their family, their communities, etc. Right? And I was just wondering if you have any stories of impact, that you can share with us about people whose lives have changed, as a result of Prodigy having facilitated their loans to go study abroad.
Sure, no problem at all. I'm definitely happy to share. We indeed do have a lot of stories of customers who have gone with Prodigy and have shared their stories about how we've inspired them and how we've helped them make something possible that they never thought was possible. So let me read out a few quotes that I have from customers. We have a customer, her name is Angeline. Angeline says, "When I embarked on my master's journey, my biggest worry was funding. Despite having personal and familial assets, I was keen on non-collateral options. When I heard about Prodigy, it was my number one option. I was let down initially, but to my surprise, the team heard my voice. They let me re-evaluate my loan options, and I got an offer which exceeded my expectations. To me, Prodigy is a lifesaver, a team which focuses on the student, more on the student, than the student's background." And I love this sentiment from Angeline. It's really beautiful. It gives us such a great feeling knowing we're making this difference and impact in the lives of students like Angeline. And I can say that even throughout a student's experience with Prodigy, even before they get to campus, the experience with us is so important, and this is evident in our Trustpilot reviews. You'll see so many online that's talking about how we really care about the student. And like you said, we're customer-centric, and it's evident in our Trustpilot reviews. I'll give you maybe one more. We have a student from Nigeria. Her name is Seshni Mala, and she says, "Being able to participate in this world-class MBA program, to meet and learn from this diverse mix of international students and professors, and open myself up to endless career possibilities, have all been made possible by Prodigy." Again, it really just warms our hearts to hear what an impact we're making in the lives of these students and helping them fulfill their dreams of studying abroad. Yeah, it's just beautiful to hear and read, and we see it every day and we see it all the time. And I think that's the wings we fly on as we work at Prodigy, right?
I agree. I love that that you guys are making all of this impact, and it's very helpful to students and the community. And I think one of the key things I picked out from the very first impact story you share is about how Prodigy provides non-collateral options, right? And can you expand a little bit on that?
No problem. A big part of I'll go right back to our business model, and that is, providing equal access to education. Of course, we've got criteria, like any lender has got eligibility criteria where there are certain requirements that we may have, or we'll assess the customer's financial profile. We never want to overburden our students with debt, and so we run an assessment like any loan provider. But the nice thing is, when a customer becomes eligible to apply and submits an application, I think there's this relief we've heard from customers in that there's no need for them to put up any collateral to say, "Hey, I've got this asset that I'm going to place against my loan." There's absolutely no need. On the other hand, there's also no need for a co-signer. So a student is not forced to bring in a family or a friend to sign for them on this loan. This loan is independently the students, and that is kind of the philosophy we're built on, is providing access to funding. Of course, in some cases, and I've just got to bring it in, is, depending on the school, we may only support the cost of tuition, or we may support the tuition and the living expenses. It varies across schools, and our website will give customers that information, but ultimately we're not requiring a customer to bring in collateral or bring on a co-signer. And I think that's pretty huge, and we're very proud to say it.
Thank you, Seshni. I really love that, that you are taking, you're helping students with making a very bothersome process, to a process that is seamless, right? I just can't imagine, what it would be like if I needed to take out, 50K for an MBA, and I went to a family member and said, "Hey, I know you love me, I know you care about me, but would you be willing to co-sign on this 50K loan with me?" Yeah, it's just I love the idea of not being, putting family members or loved ones in that situation. And then, of course, I love that you explain about how on a case-to-case basis, you may cover, you know, everything or something, but you are providing opportunities for students. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, if I was an African student looking to go, do my study abroad in the US, Canada, or one of the countries or few at one of the countries or schools that Prodigy covers or have partnerships, how do I begin this process? Like, what are some of the avenues I could, start this eligibility process, find out if what I, if at all Prodigy is going to support me, how much they're going to be able to support me with, and then how, maybe in a nutshell, kind of like give us an overview of the processes and how to take advantage of this opportunity.
Sure, no problem. So we've got a seamless application process that a student can enter. A student would land on our website. There's a range of resources on the website. So you could start there. You could start by looking at the study center available from our homepage, where there's a range of articles on life abroad, visas, traveling, work in the US or the UK. We've got a range of these articles. We're making it available to students who are thinking of studying abroad. So you can start there. You can also chat to a mentor who, like I said, has been in your shoes. They can give you some tips on life abroad, studies abroad, anything you want to know about the student experience abroad. And then it's important for a customer to check their eligibility via our website, which can be done by simply searching for the countries we do not support. So head on over to that article, search that article. If they see their country there, unfortunately, they won't be eligible just yet to apply. But if the country's not there, of course, that student can go ahead. Then it's helpful to use our school search tool. So go to our school search page, use it, spend hours on it. You must be researching various schools around the world as you're thinking of where you want to live one day, where you want to work. Many of our students end up working in their study country afterwards. And so I know this is part of the thinking process, is where might I want a job later? And so we've got a beautiful school search tool on our website, and students should absolutely use it. And if they see a school that they are interested in, then start an application. That is the only way you're going to see if you undergo a successful assessment and if we can make you a provisional offer. That is how you're going to know if Prodigy is able to support funding your master's studies. And so one would go to the homepage, click on apply now, register an account. It goes really quickly. Start an application. It takes an average of 12 minutes to complete an application at Prodigy. And so go through the stages where you input your school, your course, your budget, your debt, your records, just all the details we need from you, and make sure it's as accurate as possible. Again, if you're a student and you've never done this before, we've got a great team who are waiting to help these students. Pick up the phone, call us, jump on chat, or send us an email and say you'd love a call back. We've got a team who can walk you through the application process if you are struggling. So really lean on Prodigy for support, because we're here to do that. And so go through the application process. And if an application is successfully assessed, that means we've assessed the financial profile as well as the customer's future earning potential. We'll make the student a provisional offer. The provisional offer will include details like the interest rate, the APR, which is the annual percentage rate, the repayment terms. Again, keeping in mind that the student, as a full-time student, only needs to repay later on, but can repay at any time in their studies. Then, once the student has a provisional offer, they'll simply accept this provisional offer. It is not binding. So accepting the student simply helps this, accepting the provisional offer helps the student proceed to the next stage in the process, where they'll upload a few documents. Again, we've got a team of experts who can help the student upload these documents as well, advise them on what we accept. And then if their documents are successfully verified, the student can be matched to available funding in our weekly matching rounds. This is where we'll match student applications who have been successfully verified to available Prodigy funding, and the student gets to select, yes, I accept my match, I want to go with Prodigy, and then the loan is approved. And that is when a student gets their loan sanction letter or loan confirmation letter to use for their visa appointment. And then there are a couple of documents later on to read before a student can get their loan agreement to sign from their campus country. But the moment a loan is approved, the student shouldn't worry. Their funds are reserved for them, and will disperse or send funds directly to the school for the student. And if there's a living expenses portion, the school will take the tuition and send over the living expenses to the student. So that's in the greatest nutshell I could have explained it.
Awesome, thank you. I love that, and I know you kept mentioning about visiting the website and etc. So for those who are watching this or listening, if you need to access the website, it is www.prodigyfinance.com, and you can always also reach out to one of Prodigy's partners, which Pay4Me is one of them. And in addition to the amazing support that Prodigy provides, partners like Pay4Me can always be a very helpful resource to getting those opportunities.
Absolutely. Paul, I just want to add that we also host webinars twice a week, every week, that students are more than welcome to join, to come and ask questions. If you're struggling with applying, if you want to know if you're eligible, really, these webinars are twice a week. Again, from our homepage, prodigyfinance.com, scroll right to the bottom and register for our next webinar. We invite any of your students to come and attend and ask any questions they may have.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that resource. Just in closing, I just want to reiterate that, Prodigy Finance supports students from over 120 countries, and mostly international students who are needing funds to study abroad. The company was founded, in 2007 by, just international students, kind of like Seshni mentioned at the beginning, right? That realized that, the traditional banking system, does not take into account, the experiences and needs of international students needing financing to get their MBAs and, advanced degrees abroad. So this is really pretty neat opportunities for those who are looking for, other sorts of funding to go get their educational dreams abroad. So in closing, I want to ask Seshni, do you have any additional insights or any takeaways you want to leave us with?
Oh, just that it was really lovely to be here with you, Paul. It's so nice to meet another individual who also wants to allow students to fulfill their dreams of studying abroad. I think just us sharing that same passion for wanting to break down the financial barriers is really beautiful, and it's been so nice engaging with you. I would encourage students to head on over to the Prodigy website, join a webinar, look at our study center, reach out to our support team. We really are a customer-centric business, and we really do want to provide all students with the support they need. So really the door is open, and we look forward to welcoming and supporting more of the students who Pay4Me engages with.
Thanks, Seshni. I really appreciate. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time, and we look forward to an amazing experience and learning more about all of the students that are, that are having their life careers being positively impacted by the work that Prodigy is doing. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good rest of your day.
You're welcome. You too, Paul.
Bye.